In session one, we had a look at the complete process for the selection of the strategic partner. Just to recapitulate, the applicant company for the strategic partner to become a strategic partner, it has to be an Indian company. Now, if you take your mind back to the second session of chapter one, you would recollect that Indian company for this purpose is to be owned and controlled by a resident Indian. That means the equity would be more than 50% would be Indian holding, and the management, including the chief executive, would be in Indian hands. And that can be considered as one of the impediments in the entire issue. Because while the Indian government wants the control to be in Indian hand, the foreign OEM would be sharing Apex technology into an Indian controlled company, and therefore possibly the government, his own government controls would come in which such technology would not be shared so openly in a joint venture with the Indian company. Let us now move on to the session 2 of chapter 7, and in this I shall be covering the process for shortlisting of the foreign OEM, and I will also discuss as to what are the impediments in the complete process which is causing this chapter not to be exercised in the fullest of its full potential being realized. There are certain essential aspects in the shortlisting oblique selection. Now, the selection or the shortlisting of the foreign OEM will be carried out simultaneously while the government is identifying a potential strategic partner. Now, the Ministry of Defense will shortlist a list of potential OEMs for each product. It will provide the government to government support. It will provide the licensing for the particular thing, facilitate the licensing, the transfer of technology, the intellectual property rights. Now, this is always a bugbear in the strategic partnership, and these issues need to be, the government need to step in to resolve these issues. Now, the selection criteria for the strategic partner, that is the Indian company, will be based on the inherent capacity and ability of the Indian vendor to emerge as a system integrator. That means it should have the backup of that particular technology, at least the base knowledge of technology, to be able to function as a system integrator, as well as to set up a vendor network for sourcing. That means it has to have the inherent finance technology capability to be able to do this, and the existing network should be substantial enough to be able to enhance it. The selection of the strategic partner will be competitive. Now, all this was meant to have one strategic partner per segment. That means if helicopters, only one company in that particular segment. However, for the purpose of competition, there may be a requirement for the purpose of having greater than one strategic partner. And that is a problem also in the course of discussion, because the kind of investment that a company will put in into such kind of weapon systems that would be required in such a kind of an agreement is cost incentive in terms of the outlay. And having more than one strategic partner would imply that if you lose out on a particular contract, you do not get anything out of it. Obviously, a thing of having L1 and L2 supplying at L1 prices obviously can be worked out, and the total quantity can be divided between two strategic partners. However, the cost outlay has to justify the intake in terms of the finances, amount of product that you'll be able to sell. The foreign OEM will be jointly responsible. He is jointly responsible, not only the strategic partner, along with the strategic partner, for certification, quality assurance of the platforms supplied. For strategic partner selection, weightages for investment by the Indian company for segments, specific infrastructure and skilled manpower. That means it has to have that kind of a capability available already in terms of the infrastructure and the skilled manpower. The R&D investment that he has Also as to what kind of test and evaluation facilities it has in this particular segment. Development and acquisition of relevant technology, where it may not have the complete technology, but various segments of it, it would have the base level that is required for it to be enhanced its capability. And what is the kind of ecosystem it's been able to create till now, being a defense industry already in the complete ecosystem. Now, the process of shortlisting of that foreign OEM. I had mentioned that the foreign OEM is selected simultaneously with the strategic partner, and at the time when the RFP is issued out, at that time an indication of the foreign OEM is given to the person who are bidding, so that they can get into a back-to-back arrangement with them based on what vehicle they want to use as part of the partnership is concerned. So important factors in selection of OEM is primarily consideration the scope of transfer of technology. How much of the technology will be transferred to the Indian strategic partner to be able to manufacture in India, and that is a touchy point, and the IPR issues come into being, and possibly one of the problems in which we are facing in terms of the strategic partnership going through. It will involve the range, depth, and scope of transfer of technology offered, the extent of indigenous content proposed. A large volume of strategic partners do not wish to provide the niche technology to be manufactured in India. That would be losing their niche technology. And therefore, that is very important to be able to evaluate the extent of indigenous content proposed, the extent of the ecosystem of the Indian vendors oblique the manufacturers proposed to be developed. Please keep in mind the ecosystem is the one that supplies various components to the main weapon integrator, system integrator. And the aim of the strategic partners is to make a complete ecosystem so that the whole technology base of the country rises. Measures to support the strategic partner in establishing the system for integration of the platform. And that is extremely important. It is not only signing a document for transfer of technology, the absorption of the technology also is a problem, and its integration thereafter. Plan to train skilled manpower in the new technology, and extent of the future research and development that is planned in India. Steps in the process is issue of the request for information to the shortlisted potential foreign OEMs, which have been now been shortlisted. Formulation of the service quality requirements. Issue of the EOI to the foreign OEMs in each segment, separate segments, and the defined technologies to be acquired, including details of weapon associated sensors, along with the range and depth of transfer of technology in order to achieve stipulated level of indigenization, and development of associate industrial system in India. Please keep in mind the strategic partnership is looking at indigenization gradually as the time goes on. Foreign OEM has to provide the response within 2 months, and the technical evaluation committee carries out the evaluation of the response, and it selects the foreign OEM for each segment. It may be more than one foreign OEM for each segment. Approval by the Defense Acquisition Council has been taken, and even if only one foreign OEM is selected, the process will be taken forward and not halted. Certain important issues in the strategic partnership. The potential strategic partner may rely on a group of companies for the segment specific experience. Now, it is not possible for a single company to have the entire canvas of technologies on a system of system projects, which is highly complex. So therefore, a group of companies, a consortium sort, could come together in which the individual experiences and the technology capability can be leveraged towards providing the complete outlay that is required for that particular group of companies to absorb the technology from the foreign OEM and to produce in India. However, in this, it is only the lead agency in such a group of company which is appointed as a strategic partner, and not that all the companies are part of the strategic partner. However, all the companies in the group of companies, the FDI restriction, that is, they should have a equity majority greater than 50% in Indian hands and Indian control, will apply to all the companies in the group of company and not only to the strategic partner. Now, the list of the foreign OEMs which are selected along with the strategic partner will be annexed to the RFP. Therefore, the strategic partner could engage with any or all of the appointed foreign OEMs from which technology is going to be taken. However, the bid will be submitted in agreement with only one of the OEM that it selects after doing the discussions and interactions with them. Exception is in a segment diverse platforms such as helicopters. You could have a segment, a sub-segment of attack helicopters and passenger aircraft. Therefore, these segments, you could have more than one OEM depending on each one of the sub-segments. Manufacture in OEM premises, that is in a foreign OEM premises in a foreign country, will be restricted to a maximum of 10 to 15% of the contract number. And this is possibly another problem that comes in. Firstly, that the manufacture in the foreign OEM premises are only going to be little. Secondly, the technology has to be absorbed and the manufacturing infrastructure has to be put in to manufacture the balance of the 85 to 90% in India in the time frame that is required. The foreign OEM may participate in CNC negotiations. However, the contract normally will be signed between the MOD and the strategic partner. Wherever there is a joint venture, oblique a special purpose vehicle, therefore, there in that case, a tri-party contract can be signed between the parties concerned. It doesn't mean that the responsibility of the strategic partner dilutes. The responsibility of the strategic partner will remain individually also. MOD has the right to terminate the contract, and this could be based on the basis of integrity, a material breach of contract, or if the strategic partner and or the joint venture oblique the special purpose vehicles loses 50% net worth. In case the company is declared insolvent, also if the net holding of the equity in that particular company of the Indian entity decreases by from below 50%, the FDI restriction shall come in, and therefore that the contract can be taken away from that company, now not being in Indian hands. Now, subsequent acquisition will be carried out from the Indian company in the Buy Indian IDDM, Buy Indian, Buy and Make Indian, or Make categories of acquisition. And therefore, the indigenous contents as stipulated will kick in any one of the categories as we have seen earlier. The segments for strategic partners are fighter aircrafts, helicopters, submarines, armed fighting vehicles, which may be the main battle tanks also. So having a look at the complete outlay of the strategic partner, the issues of concern basically comes out in terms of the firstly is the transfer of technology. The transfer of technology in niche products, modern products, etc. by a foreign company comes in the fact that it has spent a lot of money in purpose of developing modern technology. If it is to transfer the technology in such modern products to an Indian company, even to a joint venture, it would obviously find it hesitating to give as to its technology which has still got future markets available. Therefore, the technology that possibly we will get will not be the most modern, though we desire the most modern. Our GSQR, SQRs always desire the most modern. Therefore, possibly we would be a generation behind unless you pay the royalty that is required for the purpose of and make it lucrative for the foreign company to provide that foreign technology to India. Second is the IPR. Losing the IPR in that particular foreign technology would not be acceptable to any country. And that is basically the problem that comes into the entire agreement. You can't expect the company to lose its IPR in the particular right. Also in this, the government restrictions kick in, and the government restrictions do restrict certain amount of technologies which are sensitive or which are modern and of interest to the country in terms of the kind of equipment that they're holding. The intergovernment agreements have to kick in, and the government has to agree to allow the company to transfer such technology or even provide such equipment related to this technology. It could be the whole equipment, it could be components of that particular equipment also. Manufacture in OEM premises of 10 to 15 only. Obviously, the foreign OEM will have concern because firstly is the ability of the Indian vendor to absorb that kind of technology and be able to establish a manufacturing base. And secondly is that the kind of manufacture that it is doing in its own country is a very small amount as compared to the complete contracted amount. FDI restriction and the control over the particular kind of a joint venture oblique a special purpose vehicle in India is an issue which has got problems. I have written upon it. You could access this article that is there, and this is an issue of concern that we need to address in case we want to take the strategic partnership model forward. And I'm sure the government is looking at it, and the strategic partnership, which was intended to provide a long-term strategic capability, technology capability in India, has really not been able to take off in any one of the segments. And we need to address all these issues before we can be able to reach a level of absorption, of being able to come to a partnership with the modern technology providing companies. Keep in mind, there is no company by itself that manufactures by itself everything. It depends upon foreign companies. There's a tie-up between Germany and France to produce the new MBT. There is a tie-up between various. Not only this, look at India. India's got a tie-up with Russia to produce the BrahMos. So the technology has to be leveraged in the fashion in which we can come to a niche product which is the most modern in the world. Otherwise, we will be a generation behind at all times. We have had a look at the strategic partnership model, which I consider, like I said in the beginning, to be one of the vehicle that has got the potential to be able to leverage capabilities along with the foreign companies to be able to pitch up to a most modern army with the intake of equipment, technology is being produced in India. The complete defense ecosystem could rise by this vehicle, since the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all of them would be supplying to the main company which is providing the product, and their own technology capability will rise. The best way to bring up the complete technology of the complete ecosystem, develop the complete ecosystem, is there in the strategic partnership model if the government addresses certain issues. Now, in the next section, we will take on chapter 8, which also I consider as one of the major issues that can lead towards toward better acquisition procedures. We always go for the L1, the lowest bid. The acquisition of system products and the ICC system has got an alternative. It shows us an alternative to be able to do away with the L1 system and in order to get better technological products. Till then, thank you so very much for listening, and we shall look at the next chapter in the next session.